Oh, hello there. Just catching up on some more reading today. Last week I was taking a note out of the local liberal magazine, and this week I'm reading The Tempting of America. Pretty interesting book. I haven't started it yet, so we'll see where it goes. Anyway, welcome to Coffee with Den. Gravity Crab's going to be a little bit before he joins us this morning, but we do have I Am for I Am right off the bat. So let's go ahead and bring this denizen up. What's up, sir? How are you? Good morning.
Fantastic. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. Hello, my fellow denizens.
What's up, Internet? Yep. DragonChain.store. We got mugs, real or fake, whatever you want to do. You can buy one or you can make one like I Am for I Am did. He made his own. You should put instructions for that over in the DIY layer.
I probably should. But who's to say it's coffee? I mean, it could have been some kind of craft beer recipe from the craft beer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was making an assumption based on the container, which is a bit like judging a book by its cover. And that's wrong. so I shouldn't have done that.
It just ain't right.
So today, couple of things we'll hit on. I want to go over some governance stuff. I want to create a proposal that can be applied to the music layer, and we'll talk a little bit about voting and specifically about downvoting and trends that have been discussed on the platform. And then let's see, if we don't have anything better to do by then, we'll go into some of the layers that are newer that haven't really started up properly and see where they are. I haven't looked at some of the ones that I'm most interested in. I haven't actually taken the time to dive into yet. It's been a weird month for me. It's been mostly out, so
nice. We can explore it together.
Yeah. Oh, plus we have September new layers for September. Right. The winners are in, and we have some UFO. I love that. I always called them UFOs. I never, to the point where the first time I heard the term UFO pronounced as a word, I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about.
I didn't either.
Like, bro, a what? A UFO? The fuck is a UFO? And you're like, unidentified flying. Oh, a UFO. Okay. Different parts of the world, different dialects, things like that.
Right. I think Gravity Crab's here.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
I think he's anxious to get into this conversation. As soon as he gets in, we'll end the conversation about UFOs.
Yeah. Okay. No more UFOs.
Nobody says UFO. Nobody says UFO. That's not a word.
They do it all the time in Europe. I didn't know that until my wife says UFO naturally, like unironically.
that is actually that hits all the nails on the head. That's the most Tina thing I've heard in a long time.
Is that like nails on a chalkboard for you?
No.
A lot of things used to be that way for me. Up until like probably the last year or two, I've had this conversion into, instead of nails on a chalkboard, there's a lot of things that are just morbid interest, where I just like, okay, that's a thing. Let me just observe and see how that goes. That's kind of how I am about the end of this week and what's going to happen or not happen. Like, we'll see where that goes. We can talk about the end of the world in a minute, though.
Wait, hold on. Well, wait a minute. What did I miss? Okay, I was gone. The show has only been going for a solid 4 minutes. All right.
Well, the world's already ended and the new Matrix has been created.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So you're in. You're good.
And you being you obviously hacked us into a good place in the new Matrix, right?
Yeah. This time,
it's a place.
Almost beef. It tastes like almost beef this time.
Oh, thank God. You know what? I'll take that. It's better than Soylent Green. Also, do I sound okay? I'm rocking off on a different computer at the moment. So.
Yeah, you sound great. Did you get that back cover installed, my friend?
It's the wrong part. They sent me the wrong part. I took the whole thing apart, and then I had to call this poor lady. I told her yesterday, I was like, look, as soon as the part gets in, I can get it taken care of. Because usually I can, right? So I get in, the part gets in. She brings me her laptop at like 4:30 yesterday. So I should have plenty of time. Every time I tried to touch it, somebody came in and needed me to come out and do some shit. So I told her, I was like, I'm going to come in early. I'm going to be early anyways. I'm going to come in early and I'm going to get it taken care of. So I had to call her and be like, hey, that part that was supposed to be installed? But, she was cool.
I've been there, man. I had I don't know why this sticks in my brain so much, just because it was embarrassing, I guess. But I had, if you remember, at the shop, I didn't like to work on MacBooks or Apple stuff. And so I avoided them if I could. But lady came in, she had a pretty easy problem. It was a backlight, is what it was. For the display, it was just dark. You shine a flashlight and you could see it, but otherwise you couldn't. So I'm like, all right, that's pretty straightforward. Let me replace your backlight. So I ordered it, not a part that I kept, because I hate working on Apple stuff, because they intentionally make it difficult to work on their hardware. And she was calling me and the part wasn't coming in. I must have ordered it direct from China or something, because it was just on a boat somewhere, you know? And she was like, hey, I kind of want to get this fixed. And I'm like, it's on its way. If you can go somewhere to get it fixed, I don't blame you for that, but the part's on its way. So anyway, one day she shows up at the shop wondering if the part's here yet. And I said, I looked over at the mailbox by the door, and there was a big fluffy package sticking out of it. Somebody had stuffed into it. And I was like, maybe, let me see what this is. And I opened it up and I'm like, actually, your part's right here. Let me just make sure it's the right one. And I opened up the package, and it was packaged. Part of it was my fault, but part of it was the packaging as well. So I opened the package, and sure enough, just in some bubble wrap was the bare glass. It was a fluorescent bulb, really thin one. So I pulled it halfway out before it snapped in half, right in front of her. And I was like, so that was your part. And I'm so sorry that just right in front of you. But that just happened.
I'd have taken the defeat at that point.
Man.
Also, if you were ordering when we were at the shop together, what year was it? Like, what do you remember the year?
Yeah, it must have been 2012, 2013.
So she had like a white MacBook, I remember. And that's the backlight you ordered. You were so lucky that thing broke.
Oh yeah, why? Because it's not a good.
No. That is the biggest pain in the ass of a MacBook to take apart ever. Those white, like to the 2006 to 2009, like unibody white MacBooks.
Yeah.
The screen is held in, not with screws, not with adhesive.
Oh, do they glue it?
No.
Magnets.
It's clips. But they're these little plastic clips, and when you are guaranteed to lose half of them. Like as you pull it off, they will explode and go everywhere.
That reminds me of working.
I have one at home that's got tape on it still.
Yeah, wow. That reminds me of like every time I've taken off the door panel from a car to get to like maybe the motor for the window or whatever. It's like, oh, there's like half my clips gone. I guess I have a wonky thing until I go to the hardware store and get some more.
It is exactly like that is the best way to put it.
Great. Well, maybe I avoided that. I'm pretty sure she went somewhere else after that, and good on her. She should have.
So that's probably what happened to my wife's old Mac. Is it just went black and dark, and she's like, "It won't boot up anymore," and it's probably the light.
Maybe
so I'll send it to you guys. I'll send it to you guys.
Hey, I probably got a screen for it.
It's old.
I changed the whole darn screen assembly.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I ended up buying a new MacBook Air for my wife because she was having so much trouble with her. It must have been the original Air model.
Please tell me she did switch to it.
Oh yeah. She's got the new one. She's going using it. It stayed in the box for months, and she didn't.
It drove me insane.
It's got the M1 chip in it. It's pretty nice. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, that thing.
Oh my god,
the original one. Ding dong. The original one. It was doing it might not be what I'm saying is it might not be your backlight because hers was not booting up. It was just black. And for whatever reason, she would like wait and try it again and it would work. And I have no idea why. So those things are they're magic.
I gave up on my Chromebook. My wife was so kind and she gave it to me and bought it for me as a kind of a gift. And that without a caps lock, it drives me insane.
Yeah, the caps lock
drives me insane. I cannot deal with it.
It's not something that I mind too much, but I think it was definitely a mistake to try to get rid of the caps lock. The thing I don't like about the Chromebook is just the concept.
Well, yeah.
The idea of it to me, like I get it. I understand like today people that are starting to use a computer for the first time and learning how to use them today are going to find it just fine. They're going, oh yeah, all my docs are online anyway. Why do I need to store them on my computer? But maybe I'm just old school enough to where that just bugs the piss out of me. You know, it's like, we're not going to put any storage here. We're not going to have any local apps. Everything's going to be run from the cloud because you've always got solid Wi-Fi, right?
Right.
It's just, I don't know. It doesn't jive with me. So I could understand not.
I just like, no, I can't deal with this. So I went out and got just another cheap laptop.
But the Chromebooks are pretty cool. If you take that out of it, like if it had a bigger local storage.
Yeah.
Just Chromebooks in general, you mean?
Yeah. I was telling Dave I gave up on the Chromebook my wife gave me.
Yeah.
I would wipe the
no caps lock just kills me.
You gotta scream all the time. Why can't I yell? Come on, all caps.
Keep searching. No, I'm searching for caps.
I need all brakes, no gas. Where's my caps lock?
Oh my god!
Other way around.
Yeah, all brakes, no gas is Florida drivers in a nutshell.
Yeah,
all gas, no brakes is what I meant to say. But anyway.
Wow. So, you guys doing all right? I mean, Gravity Cab, you're doing well?
I'm doing quite well today. How are you?
Fantastic.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
Drinking from my Sewataneo coffee cup. It's
I
kind of my favorite go-to cup now.
Sewataneo.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's in Mexico. It's actually close to where the recent earthquake was, but it's on the board. It's on the Pacific side on Mexico, south of Acapulco.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
How
Acapulco is that's where Acapulco's held, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I've never been there, but it seems interesting. I used to. Too. Yeah, I want to go out there. I used to follow Ron Paul a lot more closely, and I remember him going out there as a speaker, and I figured that was pretty cool of him.
I remember the very first one. It's like, I got to go to this. Never did.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's get into these governance voting.
Oh, that's right. We also have new layers.
Yeah, we got new layers. We got. I just wanted to look at the governance proposals that are up. I haven't looked at them.
I would like to make a proposal that the UFO layer from now on, from this day forward, be decreed, be called, and described as UFO.
UFO.
Of course you would like that. UFO.
OOFOH. UFO.
Did you make the new layers yet?
No, that'll be next week.
Damn it.
So what happens when the layers are when they win the round is obviously they get highlighted in blue so you can see which ones won. But then there's a period through the weekend where if your layer didn't win, but it was close to winning by unique voters, you can pay a matter fee to get it created anyway. It's one of the many uses of matter other than just selling it that you can do on the platform. So we wait to see how many of those come in. That's a pretty good metric in itself of whether or not we need to increase the number of winners every month, or decrease, that kind of thing. But in the past we were doing 1 or 2, I think, and we've done as many as 5, I think, winners per month when it was a little bit more activity. And it's kind of a useful metric. The more people, like if every month you have people paying a small fee to create a layer that didn't technically win, then that signals demand. And you can say, oh, okay, well, maybe this can expand or contract based on that metric. In the future, when we automate that process, that's what's going to happen. We're going to use that metric along with others so the system can automatically increase or decrease how many layers win each month based on the relative demand and stuff like that. So little nugget of under the hood right there.
Nice.
Speaking of under the hood, probably the most powerful feature on Den is the DAO governance feature. So here's one, pretty simple, straightforward from World Blockchain Roundtable. What that show does is they reached out to their community and they ask, hey, what should we talk about in the upcoming month? And also, the other important thing that it does is it hands out layer ownership tokens to anyone who asks questions that gets voted up high enough to be seen on the show. And people that get those tokens have votes, right? So you can think of it as handing out voting rights the more you participate. And the more you participate, the more you get to control the show. You can even propose your own proposals, like, hey, it would be cool if this current event segment was longer or shorter, which has happened in the past. Or you could say, hey, it would be cool if the current events opening segment was more on topic to blockchain. Or you could say whatever you like. Those are just examples. You know what I mean? So I think that explains it. So anyway, let's vote. I'm going to vote. Do what I want. I don't care what y'all want. I'm going to read it for myself.
What are you thinking here? What can we convince?
So it's October. This is what should the themes of the month of October be? The top 4 will be used in order for the month of October. There's 4 weeks in October. And so we vote in the top 4, get in there. I submitted spooky blockchain stories.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Funny. That's kind of funny.
Honestly, don't even know what that means.
I like to imagine that it's.
But I was like,
that have had some kind of a blockchain experience that also ends up with like needing to do a seance to get the.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine there could be some stuff. So spooky blockchain stories. You could use that as a play on words if you're familiar with the term spook as an intelligence like CIA term. A lot of times
I'm familiar with it in different terms.
Yeah, no, you could refer to an intelligence officer as a spook.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Right. So you could have there's stories out there. I'm not saying they're true or not, but there's stories that exist about how potentially maybe Craig Wright is CIA. There's so that could be a spooky story, or there could be stories about how people from a particular crypto exchange in Canada swindled everyone's money, and the founder and CEO fled to India, where he mysteriously died.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Or not. So there's you could come up with something if that one won. I'm confident.
I feel like I've missed.
I think the spooky one is if Craig Wright is Satoshi. Now that's spooky.
That would be terrifying to me personally.
Yeah.
I've gone down that road in my mind. Like, what if he is? Like, there's a lot of people. So, okay, Gravity Crab.
Who the hell's Craig Wright?
Quick primer, and this is going to be. You can't talk about this without
everybody that mentions.
I know.
Hold on. Let me really quick throw my disclaimer in here to everybody who hasn't figured this crap out in 44 episodes of watching this show. Dave is my crypto wizard, and I'm the computer tech that he drags along through the world. So if I ever seem like I'm just like, who the hell is that? There's a reason.
No, you were selected, my friend, because Den is for everyone, not just crypto nerds.
He drags me along through everything. It's fine. I'll take the selection.
I'm picturing the two.
It is fun.
Oh, it's so much fun.
I'm now picturing the two of you with the ring going to
walking the 3 films together.
Yeah. And you're
I would go to Mordor with you, Dave.
Tolkien in an interview.
Throw Craig Wright in. Just throw him in.
Yeah. This is deviating from the topic, but Tolkien in an interview I think it was that he must have been asked about. Well, here's what he said. He said some people have. Someone wrote me and asked me why the characters in my story didn't just fly on one of those birds to Mordor. Why walk the whole way? And he said, "I'll tell you the same thing that I told that person." Which is shut up. And I thought it was a great answer.
That's the best answer he could have given.
Shut up.
Shut up. Like, because then we wouldn't have 3 books, asshole.
Yeah.
Like,
I would have loved to have met him in real life. I know he was pretty hardcore Christian though.
I don't know a lot about. I know we have a layer dedicated to his work.
Yeah,
but I don't know a lot about him.
And his buddy was the one that wrote Narnia.
Oh yeah. What's his name? The one guy. Also super hardcore Christian, like we were talking about.
No.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Anyway, they were buddies, and they both had a theme of sacrifice and.
Huh.
You're gonna feel dumb when I tell you.
C.S. Lewis?
Yeah, it's C.S.
Yes. Duh.
Cool.
Influenced by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah, quick primer on Craig Wright. Have you heard of a character called Satoshi Nakamoto? Are you familiar with that?
I know who I know who that is. Well, I don't know who that is, but
You're talking to him.
that would be amazing.
That's funny because you almost slipped and said Shitoshi, which
Shitoshi.
yeah. So anyway, there was a while back. There was disagreement. I'll put it lightly. More of a civil war with a lot of like really angry people involved, and a lot of effort put into being so angry. Anyway, there was a dispute in the Bitcoin community about how to properly scale up when you meet technical limitations of the original design, right? So Satoshi put out the Bitcoin white paper, and here's where anything else that I say after Satoshi put out the Bitcoin white paper is controversial. Because from there, number one, it's an anonymous figure, right? So you don't know the intentions, you don't know the vision, really. So I personally view that as a proof of concept. Here's something that can work. Here's something that can destroy evil, and here's something that can bring sovereignty back to individuals on a global scale, right? And it works. And it's a collection of
money away from the state and money into the cloud and into the hands of everyone.
Right. And so whether it was invented or Bitcoin was discovered or however you want to put that, it was kind of a bunch of pre-existing technologies that were assembled for the first time into a piece of magic, right? And it worked. So fast forward in time, there's a limitation in that original software. I'm getting way too detailed. Basically, there was a bunch of people that disagreed about what to do to scale it up and how Bitcoin should be, which is what happens.
You can beat. I want to know about the software limitations.
Oh, yeah. 2 megabytes.
Oh God. Okay.
Per block.
Per block. 1 block per 10 minutes.
Okay.
So you can process 2 megabytes worth of transactions every 10 minutes.
That's a
globally.
Holy shit.
The whole fucking world. That's what you get.
God.
Right? Now that in itself isn't necessarily a problem, depending on your opinion on how Bitcoin should be used, whether it should be something that processes millions of transactions per second natively, or whether you build something on top of that does all the processing and then settles back to that layer less frequently, whether it should be directly implemented as cash, just like payments, or whether it should be thought of as a store of value, like a chunk of gold that you're not going to spend that often. Right. This is where you have all of these different opinions coming in saying, no, Bitcoin is this, no, Bitcoin is this, and yada, yada, yada.
Oh, and one more caveat. Remember, too, all of those blocks require a set of memory. So you got to have that storage capacity that's distributed all over the world.
Right.
So that becomes another issue in itself because of the sharding of data.
And also, there's the argument for access to the network, because in a decentralized network, you want to ensure that anyone has the ability to run a node supporting and validating transactions and things like that, which means if you were to increase the block size, for example, you may potentially box out people on like low-end machines on spotty connections with low bandwidth, like good old Fort White.
I was actually going to use High Springs as an example. Windstream.
Yeah, Windstream in North Central Florida is terribler the further you get from the hub, because you're on copper lines going miles and miles, and your latency and your bandwidth goes down and down and down. So there's an argument to conserve bandwidth by keeping blocks small and lean and keeping the network slow on purpose so that people can keep up and participate. There's a lot of fucking years of conversation, years of philosophical shit talking.
Fights and arguments and civil war. And
I can see how that would turn into just a massive, because it kind of reminds me of, I'm just going to use a totally different example. It reminds me of the way that we have so many different branches of the Linux community, because everyone has a different philosophy about it, and everybody has a different way that it needs to be implemented and the way that it should be done.
Yeah, just dial up distrowatch.com and look at all the different varieties of Linux and what they're specifically used for. Yeah.
So anyway, there's this Craig Wright fellow who.
So one of these people, among a lot of people, there's Craig, there's Roger, there's just like a dozen people that are very high profile, and a whole lot more people that are less high profile, all interacting on this problem. What do we do to scale Bitcoin? Should we even try to scale Bitcoin? And so one of the people decides to. So the second part of the story is the fork. Are you familiar with forking, like software on GitHub and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, that I got.
Yeah, so forking is a little bit different and a little bit more complex. Let's bring up John for a second. John, we're talking about forking, and so I'll be right with you. So then you get to the part of the story where everybody's like, okay, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. We're going to do it this way, right? And so it's a decentralized network. Everybody can run whatever software they want, and they can participate in whichever version of the system they want. This is how you vote. You have a node, you run it, you participate or you don't, and the one with the most participation typically either wins or you get fragmented communities that become different things, right? So you have chugging along Bitcoin, 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 and then all of a sudden you get to a point where you have what's the real Bitcoin? And that was the big fight, was everybody wanted to be the real Bitcoin for a while. So there was Bitcoin Cash and all of its varieties came from that. What is today Bitcoin Cash? What is today Bitcoin, BTC, the one that you see as BTC on the tickers with its Lightning Network being touted and used in countries and stuff. And then you have also BSV. This is where Craig comes in. Now, Craig likes to sue everybody that says that's not the real Bitcoin and he's not Satoshi Nakamoto, because he comes out and he says, this is Satoshi's vision. Everybody else forked off and changed the software. We stayed the same, as if software is never supposed to change or evolve or grow or like the proof.
That's an archaic thought from the get-go.
Yeah, so it's been changed since then. But there was this argument of like everybody else left. We're the real Bitcoin. I'm Satoshi Nakamoto, and Bitcoin Satoshi's vision is the real Bitcoin. Now, even today, there's a lot of people who believe that. And what bugs me about Craig is that he sues people that say, no, you're not. Like he's literally in a fucking court battle right now is it the UK? Where is it, IAM? Do you know?
Well, he was in one that was in Florida, and he was supposed to present the private keys. And he said, although they're going to come via courier and they're segmented, so it's going to be multiple couriers and this kind of thing. And it was a former business partner who supposedly, who had passed, and the family said, okay, if you are Satoshi, then you also have access to these Bitcoin addresses, and you must present, half of that because
so he got sued.
Our inheritance owns half of it. And he says, well, I'm Satoshi. And the judge, not knowing how to ask certain questions
or even having a clue about anything he's talking about, I'm sure.
And Craig Wright has been described as a pathological liar, even reportedly from his own mother.
That sounds very pathological.
Described and reportedly. Again, I'm not trying to get sued over here. So, long story short, he's got a history.
He sounds like an ass.
He is kind of an ass. Long story short, he's been on this tangent of using the legal system, using this very system that Bitcoin was designed to upend, to force his vision of what Bitcoin really is.
Yeah, it doesn't really sound like a very Satoshi thing.
Yeah, not prove, but convince people with legal oomph that he is Satoshi. And most recently, he stomped on the hard drive apparently, and there's no more fragments to put together. Anyway, that could be
that is spooky. That is spooky.
That could be a spooky story. Yeah.
Now, would it be spooky if Musk? Would it be spooky if Musk was Satoshi Nakamoto? And there's some.
I'd be fine with that.
Maybe pretty good evidence saying that he could be.
I can see that one.
Look, all right, I got to chime in here. I'm tired of talking shit about Satoshi, okay? I love his video games, okay? My childhood would not have been the same.
He's the Nintendo guy, right?
Yeah, my childhood would not have been the same. Okay,
Satoshi Nintendo.
Not Nintendo.
My computer monitor, Satoshiba, he made it.
Well, there's some interesting stuff like where the name came from, kind of thing. It's obviously it's a pseudonym. But what could the pseudonym have come from?
Damn.
I bet I'll find it real quick. Do you know what the different words were?
I don't, and I'm sorry, gentlemen. I have to take the 15-year-old to school.
Go for it.
Tell him to graduate faster.
I know the kid should be graduated already.
Seriously,
right?
Damn.
Jeez,
here we go.
Should be homeschooling so I could let him sleep in.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that'd be great.
Anyway, I'll be listening in the car, and I'll be back. And good morning, John.
Good morning. I'm here. I'm here as your replacement. Sorry, I'm a little.
He's the relief for the bit.
So, John, you were onto something. Satoshi Nakamoto sounds like every Japanese technology company, right?
Oh,
and so that's potentially where the name came from.
I mean, I would assume it's a completely fake name, no matter what. So that's kind of clever, actually.
It's funny. There actually is a dude named Satoshi Nakamoto, but he's not Satoshi. He had no idea what Bitcoin was, or would he?
Or did he
just say that?
Sounds like the kind of thing that I would do if I had the knowledge and had created this thing that the whole world is currently using and is a fantastic piece of technology.
What did I just do? I was trying to do something and I did the wrong thing.
You clicked some squares and you moved us around like one of those slide puzzles.
So let's vote on this, John. We were talking about spooky stories, but what spooky blockchain stories could even mean? That's where you came in on. We got off on a tangent about a fellow who likes to sue people for saying that he's not what he says he is the short version of what we were all talking about. So that's one that I proposed. The Sandbox is a blockchain video game. DeFi is decentralized finance. We've hit that in the past. Maybe we can hit it again. Time development cycle for quality products. That could be a topic. And these are all topics for October, John, that we could talk about.
What one last week?
Last week, what did we talk about last week? I don't even remember. I'll have to go to the...
I remember it was like aliens, right? And
I can't right-click and open it. Damn.
Oh, yeah, UFOs won for the layers.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. What one last...
Last
What is
episode.
this Sandbox? This looks cool.
Oh yeah, changing the conversation from money to technology. Number go up to blockchain go up. That was last week.
Oh,
right.
This is okay. I thought these were new layers.
No, these are topics for the weekly show.
Gotcha.
So Snoop Dogg is involved
the top
in this.
four. Yeah, Snoop Dogg's great. He's big on NFTs and shit.
If wrong answers only wins, I will be on the show.
One.
No problem.
I love that. That's a good.
That one
that's a good
wins,
topic.
I feel like it should be a requirement that I'm on the show. Yeah.
I feel like I second that. Actually,
I haven't got.
That's a good.
I've been waiting.
Oh, there's the loud noise.
There's a loud noise. So there's metaverse, and the evolution of social media. This is kind of what Facebook's doing. There's privacy coins, which means no, you cannot look into my bank account unless I want you to see what I have in there. There is Web3 integrations, which is just sort of like combining the I would say all the good parts of Web 2 and 3 and leaving out the bad parts. Yeah. And there's blockchain for accountants, possibilities of crypto in the metaverse, Internet of Things. That's something I've been reading more about recently. There's an interesting network layer out there that reaches like 10 miles. Super low bandwidth and slow, but if you're only sending a little piece of data, like what the temperature is in some location, or that kind of thing. There's that. So cross-chain alliances, that would be, I guess, different communities that are separate that come together, for example, because they're all being sued by the same person. So they're combining efforts there. And then personalized identity on blockchain is another one. So I'm going to vote because I think so the 4 of these are going to win, but I can only vote for one. And I'm going to vote for wrong answers only. This is proposed by Greg from Rivet, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to lay on my 13% there. And I'm going to say, yep, that's what I want to talk about. Wrong answers only. Commit. And boom, I have voted.
All right. It's a governance thing. So like I can't vote on it because I'm not
on that one. Not on that one. If you go over to the globe here, you'll see all layer GIs, even if you can't vote on it. Now you can only vote on those if you have the governance tokens, the lot, right? So you can vote in the Coffee with Den layer if we had a proposal, but not in Metaverse or Creature Comforts. I'm actually banned from Creature Comforts, but I guess I can maybe still vote on it.
Why are you banned from Creature Comforts?
Somebody decided that they wanted to get me banned by using puppet accounts to cross the threshold of the way that banning works on Den is you can block a user and then you don't see that user. But if enough people individually block a user for themselves, the layer just bans that person, saying, oh, obviously this is not a wanted person. So somebody was upset with something that I said or the way that I said it or how I responded to something. I guess I can't view it because I'm not in there. Oh, well, go back. Why not? I'm having issues. Oh, well, that's funny. It shows up for me, but I can't vote in it. That's fine. And I voted there, so there's nothing left for me there. But anyway, it's a nothing burger story. It's just somebody was just like meh, and so I was like, okay, fine, I won't go there. Layers. We got new layers. Layers. You were asking. You thought this is what we were talking about a minute ago.
Yo, but you guys, all right. If you're watching this show and you got World Blockchain Roundtable stuff. I woke up, walked my dog, and then ran here. Go say you gotta invite T-Swift to die if it's wrong answers only. It's gotta happen. I think that's the only time I could be useful on that show.
I would love to have you on that for a wrong answers only show. That'd be great.
It's Thursday, right?
It's an interesting mix of people, right? I tend to be the more lefty personality on the show. There's a couple of people that do a show together separately that's pretty right leaning, and then there's like in between. I feel like Greg is like kind of like this chameleon that can walk the whatever path the conversation is on in an objective manner, which is interesting. So yeah, it's an interesting show because it's about blockchain tech. It's about engineering and adoption, but it also has a current events section in the beginning, which tends to gravitate towards politics and current global events. And then even the conversations tend to gravitate toward occasionally a politically charged conversation about the question. So it's interesting. To me, it's like a hybrid between a current events and politics show and a blockchain technology and how can it fix things in a way that folks from all sides can appreciate.
Sounds perfect.
I'll say this while I Am for I Am is out, because I mentioned it last time and we never talked about it. And now that he's not here, I'll say it again. I think that free market capitalists and communists could come together over blockchain technology because it serves both of their ends pretty darn well. So it's one of those technologies that could be applied and everybody should like it. Like it's super fair and it meets the criteria of a lot of things. It's whatever you want it to be. It's just software. So anyway, along to
you're telling them about stuff they don't understand, which is scary. Therefore, good luck, baby.
Yeah, the scary factor, right? New stuff bad. Well, new stuff confusing. That kind of thing.
It'll be when like the generations under us are in charge. It'll actually probably take off, because right now the people that make decisions don't understand it. Just like the judge in charge of a cryptocurrency case that doesn't understand like blockchain or whatever,
or use email or any base technology on a computer.
The judge just doesn't use a fucking computer.
Some of them don't. I know our most recent The last president, the last guy, famously didn't use email ever. I know a number of members of Congress that pass legislation that vote on laws and regulations and appoint people and shit like that. Don't use computers really.
Well,
you know?
I don't think they don't use computers. I think other people use computers for them.
Okay.
Right? You know what I mean?
And?
Well, my point is that they're busy. What they do well is talk to people, right?
That's true.
So, like,
yeah, and they talk to them based on
you're writing an email. They're not out talking to people. Also, if I think the nice part is you have a little bit of a degree of like, oh, it wasn't me, it was an intern. If I'm famously known for not sending emails and an email gets sent, even if I dictated the email, I can be like, wasn't me.
Shaggy's defense wasn't me.
Well, like in all reality, like that's like,
yes. Okay. So
that's how you should do it. That's how you should do it.
That is an argument for, like, the only reason to do that then would be to weasel out of responsibility. And these are the people that are supposed to have the most responsibility and the most integrity of anybody else that could potentially do the job. Now, we know that's not true, but you have people whose job it is to talk and convey ideas and convince people that their opinion is the right way to go on things, but they're doing that based on no understanding of what they're talking about. They're doing that based on what people have been paid to tell them. And that's one of the problems is you could have well-meaning politicians. You could, that don't personally know what they're talking about. And they just take the word of the lobbyists that come in to say, here's what our industry wants. And that's the best information they have. And so they argue to those points because it literally gives them talking points on a sheet of paper that says, here's what you should pass.
And the problem with that too is you can't ever be like lawful good because you have to trade for other things, right? So in order for me to, if you want to just use like a very simple example, like if you want to become president, you have to win Iowa, and Iowa's number one product is like corn, right? So not petroleum. What am I thinking of? The shit that makes run on corn.
Ethanol?
Right? Ethanol. Yeah. So for the longest time,
yeah,
presidents would basically have to take the ethanol pledge because you have to start off your campaign well. You got to win Iowa, and so like you have to start off saying I support ethanol when everybody knows ethanol is a dream and a dumb one. Like
it's the gamification of political office.
But then you have to justify to yourself going, yeah, I'm going to do this. Later, I'm not going to follow this pledge, probably, hopefully. But I'm going to use that so I can do good in other areas, right? So it's like, I got to do this bad thing so I can do more good things.
I've got to be a scumbag.
That is an argument.
Yeah.
That is an argument for lying, to justify lying to your constituents.
I think over time, you lose your morals. I think over time, you kind of forget what you got into the game for. It's like, oh, I have to raise this money in order to run again. And then your life just becomes raising money. And then it's like, I should have some of this money that I keep raising. So that's how you keep getting money.
I should have some of this.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree that that's very close to what happens. I disagree that that's how it should work. People wanting to keep their jobs by regurgitating what any particular group thinks is good because they think that that's going to win votes for them, not because it's what's right, or not because it's what's going to help the overall nation, is not it's not how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to get people fired for like having shitty ideas. But if nobody ever comes out with what their real ideas are, how do you know what you're voting for? This is one of the things that people would like. I got stopped. I was coming back into the U.S. from Iceland, and there was this passport control bubba in Boston who, for whatever reason, was screening us on our opinion of the ex-president Donald Trump. right? He wanted to make sure that we liked him. We wanted to make sure that we, at least if we didn't like him, that we appreciated him. He brought DeSantis into it and praised him because we had a Florida ID. So he's like, oh, DeSantis, I love that guy. He's like, anyway, it was a really weird experience because my wife is stomping on my foot. Like, don't open your fucking mouth. I know. I just want to get through this. Please, can we return to the country? But one of his things was like he wouldn't let us go until we found something to agree on about Donald Trump, which I thought was completely outside of his, professional responsibilities. But I was going along with it, whatever. And here's what we came around to was at least you know what you're getting, what you're voting for, right? And his side of that was, so his side of that was he agrees with all these shitty things that Trump said and did. And my side was, no, I would not vote for someone who blatantly says these things in that way and is such an obvious scumbag in real life all the time. But we agreed on, well, at least he's upfront about everything. At least you know what you're voting for. Whereas with a lot of politicians, you don't quite know what they're about. But you kind of knew what he was about. So anyway, there was a story about.
There's literally an investigation right now about him hiding things and you not getting what you voted for.
No. He wasn't. He didn't hide. He blatantly brought boxes of material to Mar-a-Lago and people knew about it. He even gave some of it back when he was asked for it and was like, yeah, here's some of it. He didn't ever say he didn't have it. He just said, I'm allowed to have it. I can do what I want because as president, I'm allowed to declassify anything, right? Which there's a process for. He can do that. He can go through the process and say this, and this, declassify it, right? But what he was saying is because I'm the president, I can just wave my hand and say, that's all declassified. And so I'm fine. So he's not lying about having it. He's not lying about it being classified. He's just saying, I think I should be able to have it because I was president. And as president, I could have declassified it if I wanted to, even if I didn't. But
it's
retroactively,
like a toddler's argument.
Kind of. So anyway, I wasn't really thinking about going off on Trump over here. I just have opinions about the man. That's all.
I'm fine with it. He's
Lisa's gonna be pissed.
That's fine. It's okay. I love you, Lisa.
If you're here,
okay.
or if you're not here today, but we adore you. You're great.
Yeah. I have no like disrespect towards anybody who is pro-Trump.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say anybody. I have disrespect about certain people, but not because of their politics. And they might be pro-Trump or they might be pro somebody else. But besides the point,
Dave is only speaking for himself. Just want to make
yeah. Especially if your name's Craig Wright. Don't sue me. You're not Satoshi, but don't sue me.
You can sue me,
right.
Craig. I mean, I feel like you're kind of full of shit.
So here's our winners. On to the
Fishing.
topics.
That's kind of cool.
Fishing, bro. So fishing and UFOs, that goes hand in hand. How many abductions come from people just trying to have some fishing time?
Yeah, they're just hanging out on a boat, and then it's like, I feel like the UFO comes down. It's just the UFO.
Fishing,
they come down and they're just like, oh, look, something easy to grab.
Yeah. Yep.
I like
so UFOs, fishing, and then funny. Maybe if there was a funny animated GIF of a fisherman being taken by a UFO, there's your perfect trifecta. But that's the winner.
Talent has been trying to get in for so long.
They ain't talented enough.
They've been trying so hard.
Well, they did too good because number 13 won and they're number 12. So they gotta do less good and then they can win.
That's not a UFO. I looked up UFOs and now I'm just finding jellyfish and it's kind of cool.
By the way, I wanted books to win, but if you want upcoming crypto projects, books, alpha, Den's Got Talent, John, or astronomy and astrophotography, is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. If you want any of these 5 runners up to get created, you want to make them win even though they didn't, you can pay a fee.
Wait, how much is books right now?
Books? Oh, 400 matter. The first one, 200 matter. The second one, 400, 600, 800, and 1,000 matter. depending on how closely, like how much it almost won. Goes up in increments of 200. Anybody can pay for that. Anybody, like these 38 people can get together and say, let's all pitch 20 matter and or whatever it takes and get it made. So you can do that if you want, just as a reminder.
Dave, let's split it and buy books.
So my inclination is to say, yeah, let's do that. But then my second thought is I've done that with like 3 other layers and have failed to maintain them.
Well,
right?
yeah, the goal is it's just a layer that
if we're going to do something with it, then yeah, maybe. If not, maybe we wait till it wins. It's going to win in the next couple of months, I'm sure. It keeps going up. It's got 38 unique voters. The one that won had almost twice as much as that. But
hell, I have books here.
Yeah, could open the books one. We'll talk about that. See if we have a plan for it, because I got to revisit the Linux layer. I got to revisit create tutorials for the tutorials layer. Music layer we'll talk about now. Actually, let's go.
Actually, no, hold on. Let's segue into something really fast here. You just mentioned the Linux layer, and I'm sharing my screen real quick because I have a thing for this.
Okay, go for it, and then we'll go to.
I think my Aquarium is gone, right?
Yeah, I'll bring remove.
He'll be back.
He'll be back.
Let's see.
Aaron's
one is the one. Yeah, it's the one.
Okay, bring it up.
All right, cool. Oh God,
Let's
hang
see.
on.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
That's a pin one.
Oh, give me a sec. Broke everything.
All right. Well, while he's breaking everything,
unbroke it. We're good.
I'm not going to queue up anything. All right. Add new stream.
Okay, so check this out. So this is a Linux distro that I was looking at the other day. The whole point of this is to get like modern, semi-modern. I'm talking like kernel 15.5, so a while ago, but modern-ish, with like KDE Plasma or whatever OS really, they've got Plasma, Mate, or Mate, whatever you want to call it. I think XFCE is on there, but it's specifically for power PCs.
Okay.
So like the older Power Max and G4s.
Okay.
So I've been wanting to play with it. So because of that, I broke out and brought in with me today my favorite little 12-inch PowerBook G4. So I guess today, while we're slow, I'm going to try and get modern Linux running on an old Power Mac.
Did I give you my Power PC laptop, or do I still have that somewhere?
You have a PowerBook somewhere?
I have a Power PC MacBook.
Yeah, if you did not, I would I need Power PC.
It works. Machine. Yeah. It works totally fine. There just weren't any modern Linux distributions that catered to it.
So this specifically does
architecture.
And it is it's specifically for that entire architecture. And I was running it off a live CD the other day, and everything worked. I mean, I was running Plasma on a vintage Mac, which was wild.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you should write that up. Something
I think I'm gonna
over in the Linux layer. Well,
I couldn't get networking. I couldn't get networking to work, but I'm sure that's just Linux. But yeah, there's my spiel on that.
What's it called again?
Oh God, what was it called? Adele or something? This one.
Like the singer?
Yeah, every time it's that Linux.
Yeah, it's got the little ticks on it, so you don't know how to pronounce it. Cool.
Yeah, so you've got this nice little. So you've got like Arch, you've got ARM stuff, Power PC. You've got the G5 Power PCs you could do, and it does have like an x86 version if you wanted. But you can just go through and be like desktop, and then you've got these 3 environments. So I have the Plasma version.
Cool.
But cool shit. Cool.
Yeah, I would probably spring for the XFCE version.
Just for running a little bit better.
Yeah, just for being a little bit leaner, a little bit.
I think I'm just. Cool. I was just impressed to see Plasma running on a G4 chip clocked at 1.5 gigahertz.
Yeah, I would be too.
I love that machine.
Dope. Yeah, throw that up in the Linux layer so that I know where to find it.
I will. I'm actually I'll throw it up there, and since I'll be playing with it today, I can throw some little pictures and screenshots up with it. That'll be fun.
You want to talk about fuckery for a minute?
Fuckery? I like fuckery.
Yeah. So this has been making its way through several of the communities. First thing I want to say is that most of the layers are not using the reputation systems to auto moderate who's allowed to do what, like who's allowed to post, who's allowed to vote, who's allowed to have an image versus a video. There's a lot of tools for that aren't being used. And so I ended up making a proposal to try to fix some of that. But here's what's going on is typically, and this is from a post from Y'all Weird, and this has been pointed out in other layers too. It isn't just the music layer. Most recently, the Comunidad Español layer had some issues where there seemed to be either one theory is that there's a coordinated downvoting troop. I don't know.
It's probably that.
And the other opinion is that the incentivization of downvoting is the problem, because people downvote for rewards, which is true. So either one of those or both of those combined is leading to, in many people's opinion, legitimately good content being downvoted more than upvoted for whatever reason, right? So this is 11 upvotes, 20 unique downvotes on a post. And more interestingly, this is the music layer. Spenzel has some of the most, probably like my single favorite series in the music layer is the post that this Denizen posts. It is most relevant weekly metal and hard rock releases.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Every week, consistent. I don't always catch them. I need to be more on top of things about voting myself. So
like consistent is the thing. Like he does it every single week, or is it a month? It's every single week.
Yep. So I am's back. I'll bring you back up for this, sir. Welcome back.
Welcome home.
We're just talking about the potential downvote brigades / downvote incentivization.
It's totally a downvote brigade.
And so just so you know, we're going to go back. We're going to circle back to this free market and communist sharing of the block.
Yes. Perfect.
We'll come back to that.
Let's talk about this first.
Yes.
So this is legitimately great content. It's original content. Goes out of their way to what do you call it? To collate, to source the material and put it up for us. And then you've got 12 unique upvotes, 30 unique downvotes. Right now, there's obviously more energy in the upvotes than in the downvotes, but interestingly, the way that the consensus and quorum works on Den is that if you have more people downvoting, you're still fucking up the rewards for the people that otherwise have good posts. Now, this could be people that want to. There's a lot of things to game on Den. And one of the goals is to make it to where it is gameable, but the way that you most effectively game it is beneficial to the community overall, right? What we don't want is for people finding ways that exploit the system to make it work in ways that it was not intended to work, which is against terms of service, by the way. But
can I ask a quick question? So
yeah, sure.
In this music layer, do you think it's 30 people that do not like hard rock?
I don't think so.
I think it's 30 people that don't like that.
Don't like that individual
on the layer. Like
it could
nobody has any stake in this layer besides those 7 people getting like weekly payouts. So like,
right, and most of it's myself and y'all weird.
Or it's one person with 30 different logins.
That's the thing.
For that. So there's basic systems to detect that are in place.
I genuinely, let me check on this real quick.
Sure.
I think that this is something that I've thought about a couple of times now with various issues we've seen pop up with people getting downvoted massively and stuff like that. It's got to be somebody with. I think it is either a person or two with a shitload of accounts, and it's not just in the music layer. I mean, this happens all over the platform. Like they have people who basically just don't like certain things, or just are there to cause issues for fun. Making a ton of accounts. Trait. Yeah, we'd like to screw stuff up. See all of human history. It's part of us. So I don't know. I feel like this is not a localized to the music layer issue, and definitely not just like 30 different people that are pissed. I think it's a group of people that like to go through most of the entire site and do stuff like this.
Well, it's pretty transparent whenever you look at. So right now there's work being done on a new metrics page and a leaderboard, right? Part of that is using data that's already on chain, meaning recorded in the database, basically, where like it's pretty obvious to see who's voting together only and who's voting together like coordinatedly, right?
Mhm.
That stuff's there.
Okay.
We can bring that up, and that can be more transparent, and that's probably exactly where we're going with that. But right now, even though it's all under the hood, it isn't in the UI. It isn't up there on the face of it, right? What I really wanted to talk about, though, is before we dive into what's the motive behind it, because it could be all of those things. It could be people that don't like metal, and so they don't want metal in their music layer. Maybe it could be people that don't like that the music layer is owned by such a small number of people, and so they're retaliating against that, right? It could be people that want to game the system in a way, and this is where I personally think a lot of it is every day there's a payout based on all of the different content competing against each other. So if you go out of your way to abuse the consensus in a way that makes other people's content, no matter how good it is, that makes other people's content evaluate lower on the score in the voting, that means yours evaluates higher than theirs relatively during the payouts. So you'll get paid out more, even though theirs obviously it's better. There's 8,000 energy from 12 people, and there's 53 energy from 30 people. This tells me that these 30 unique downvoters, they don't have a lot of energy. They don't have a lot of matter. They haven't earned a lot. They're just there to go and hit the downvote and manipulate the consensus or the quorum, right? Most of the energy is applied to the 12 upvoters. So there's maybe a combination of those things, probably people just trying to make theirs instead of, it's a personality type, right? Instead of improving yourself or trying to increase the quality of your content or make yourself evaluated better naturally, you beat other people down so that you relatively evaluate better against them. So
this would kind of go away too if we had mass numbers inside Den. Would you agree? If you added 2 zeros to this, would there really be 3,000 downvoters for this rock? Versus 1,200.
Right.
I don't think that would happen unless there were 3,000 people that really just didn't like rock and roll.
Right. I think that at scale, it obviously gets really, really diminished because a couple of people then don't have as much influence compared to like the masses. Right.
So if more energy is spent growing Den, we need to address this, but also if we spent more energy growing Den, these kinds of issues correct themselves.
Yes. So that's the single most important thing to correct it would be growing Den. The other single most important thing would be using the tools that are already available to mitigate some of that. And here's where I wanted to talk about a proposal that I haven't put in yet, but I want to see what kind of feedback there is. And basically, it is to turn on. Is this a
proposal just within the music layer?
Just within the music layer, yeah. So I wrote up this discussion piece. I linked to the post that I was just talking about where Y'all Weird was talking about the voting there. And I explained reputation a little bit and what I propose to change. And I also addressed the lot distribution, which is something that John brought up a minute ago, where we need a more broad distribution of ownership so that it isn't just going to a couple of people who arguably aren't doing the work. The changes with the reputation, number one, turning it on, right? Mm-hmm. And number two, there is a voting portion, right? And you know what? I'll just go into it right now. Let me go into settings. Let me check for feedback first, just in case. I didn't see any this morning. So Nguma had some good feedback. Nothing about the settings, but referred back to the first post, which we just got done talking about. So appreciate that. And then there is testing your settings in the DIY layer. Also, I noticed that the creature comforts layer was trying to do something similar. So everybody
slide back up to that top comment.
Up here?
Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah. So Nguma says, in my opinion, these measures would be a little a little useful for bots and multi-accounts. But from what I've understood in Joe's post, the problem of negative votes is not here. I would say that they are all members of the community defending themselves from actions that they consider unfair with their posts, so they will all have good reputations.
I agree with his.
Quite easy for the members to increase reputation. It is easy to increase reputation, yes.
I just want to point out here, this thing he says at the bottom in the third paragraph there is absolutely a thing that I see happen on the music layer constantly. It's
I
YouTube
totally,
link shouldn't be 1,000, 2,000 upvotes.
Yeah, that's part of what I said. Was I definitely agree with that. In the third paragraph, finally, I'll be honest with you. I personally believe that a link to a YouTube video does not deserve thousands of votes that I've seen over the time. Given in this layer, in these cases, I used to stay on the sidelines, simply ignoring the situation. But in the current situation, receiving 20 or 30 negative votes daily, I'm more critical. Good luck with the test. Maybe one day it'll work out. Yep, exactly. Thank you for the feedback. I hope it works out too. We don't know until we try it, right? So
when I first joined Den, just real quick story, I saw, wow, look at all this. Wow, I wish I owned a piece of music because look at all these votes and music. This is how I could score a lot of matter. And that's what I was thinking. I think the first week I was in Den and looking at it, I saw, wow, look at this music layer. Everyone loves this music layer. They're posting it and it's getting all this energy and and that was my first impressions of actually of Den and the music layer.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. Happy to reel you in with music. Yeah. There's a lot of the links to a YouTube video aren't inherently bad.
No.
What there is a lack of better stuff being posted to compare it to, I think. Right? Spanzel's post is a great example of like top-notch, consistent quality content, right? And so it's disappointing to see that gets knocked down, just like a random YouTube video that has no description, maybe a title if you're lucky, and it's like, okay, why is this here? Do you like this song? Do you hate this song? Like, why are you posting it? So I can see that. The reputation settings that I like to change would be to turn it on, and then specifically the ability to vote. You can restrict if we're having problems with people voting in a way that is not consistent with the way that the music layer would like to exist, right? We can create our own world, and we can say, hey, we've got to have X reputation to even vote. So you can turn that up, and it doesn't affect anyone's ability to post, to reply, or any of that. It only affects who's allowed to vote. And so my proposal would be to change these two settings to where, number one, if you're new, and let's say you're new to the music layer, you can't vote. We don't know who you are. We don't have any data on you. You haven't been evaluated yet. We don't know if you're here to wreck house or if you're here to be a contributing member of the layer. So we can say in that instance, if you've got a 5-star reputation across Den because you've been in other layers and stuff, just not here, we'll say, okay, well, you can probably vote here too. That's probably fine. But we're going to say you have to, there's this thing called a threshold, which is where your reputation switches between site-wide and layer reputation. And after you start posting in the layer, let's say you can't vote yet, but you want to gain the ability to vote. Well, you can post content or reply to content 7 times. If I change this to 7, you do that 7 times. And then we have enough enough data on you, on your account, as a member of the music layer specifically, not counting anywhere else on the website, just the music layer, to give you our own reputation, right?
Hold on. Can I interject? So if I type 7 times, rock sucks, what's my reputation score going to be?
It depends on how people vote on you. And this is where it gets interesting. We're going to see how it works because we've been running with rep off, right, which means a lot of people have rep. Now, you don't earn reputation for voting. You only earn reputation for posting and replying. So anyone who's only been going in to vote but has not been contributing at all will still not have a layer reputation. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So my theory is that if we change this to where you have to have either a 4-star reputation in the layer or a 5-star reputation Den-wide to be able to vote on content in the layer, a lot of people, some unfairly, some warranted, are going to suddenly be unable to vote. And the people who do want to be able to vote on content are going to have to post content and show what kind of content they consider good content. Because theoretically, that's how they're going to vote. What's that?
Yeah. You're going to have to contribute in order to earn the right to vote.
Right.
Which is cool. Hey,
you kind of get a demo of what you consider good content or not, and then people can vote on you. Yeah.
Good luck reaching out to the other 5 people that can vote on this, by the way, because I think only one of them is active.
Well, I don't know how many of these people are active, but there are 348 accounts that would be able to vote based on layer reputation, and there are 1,600 accounts that would be able to vote based on site-wide reputation.
I think it means voting on the actual reputation, like this actual thing. Oh, for God's sake,
the proposal.
Oh, that's fine. But that's basically me and y'all weird. That's one of the problems. Oh, yeah, we have to distribute that more widely.
Yeah, I
was called. Be like, yo, go vote. Mm-hmm. The end.
You're also assuming, though, that the people that are downvoting don't have that reputation.
Yeah.
What if they already have a 5-star reputation because they're,
well, maybe they do.
And
because, like you said, it is relatively easy to get a good reputation. All you have to do is contribute in a way that other people appreciate, right? All you have to do is create content or reply to content that people will vote up on. And if you do that, your reputation will increase. You start at 0 and you work your way up. If you've never done anything before, you got a 0 rep. If you, one thing that we can look into changing, and this is a conversation we're going to have Thursday on the Den.social call, is there's a couple of caveats there because there's some ways to game even the reputation system. Because if you only have one evaluation, then, and it's perfect, right? You have a quorum of good evaluation, then lo and behold, you got a 5-star rep, right? So maybe we have to add something to that site-wide rep to say, no. You got to have a threshold there too, or you got to have like this many votes before we, can say that this is your reputation. Right now, you can do it. I think you can do it right off the bat with just like one post. You know what I mean? So you can pretty easily do that, but this makes it a little bit harder, and I'm curious to see if it solves anything. And then what I wanted to do for the rest of the settings was to make them pretty low. I want anybody to be able to come in and post and earn a reputation if they want to be able to vote on stuff. So what did I say? I said, let's go to my post in the music layer and remind myself of what I proposed there. Where's M? Music. There we go.
I'm anxious to see how this works out.
So really anxious yeah, me too. I'm curious. I'm really curious what would happen if we started using these tools, even after people have been using the layers without rep on and gaining layer rep. So reputation on, voting, we did that, and then all other rep, 2 stars site-wide, 3-star music layer required, and threshold 7. So that would mean that the rest of these settings to post, you got to have 2 stars site-wide. Maybe you get on everyone's nerves, but you're really into music and you like good music, so you can still post here. But once you start posting, you got to at least have an average rep of 3 stars to keep posting, right? And so we'll just change everything to 2 and 3 stars, right? And that could be a relatively easy to understand change that we can see. I'm going to leave torrents off because we don't have the infrastructure for that. We can do that as a layer.
I love that it's an option.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, if we had like, especially if we had a way to account for it, that'd be even better. But right now we can just decide, hey, I'm going to run a seed box and, torrent files. So if you want to distribute an album, let's say you want to publish an album, you could just throw the torrent up, and then people that are in the music layer could donate bandwidth to torrent that for you. And And there's the settings. So I'm going to put in the description, and I'm going to say, where's that post? Right here.
No, just write y'all weird vote on this.
Yeah, basically. But no, I'm going to say per, and I'm going to say this post, and that'll be a link. Enable reputation system with some protection against what do you call the, let's say with a high threshold for voters. All right, evaluators, voters. Is that clear at all, or is that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Boom. Repetition on. 2 3 2 3 5 4 2 3 2 3. All right. So I'm going to propose this. Costs 50 energy. Propose. Successfully created. So then I should see over in the governance section, if I go over there, and I click on the pin, layer GI proposed by me, there's my proposal. All right. So cool. The link works. Fantastic. And then here's all the settings that I changed. And I've got 39% of the vote. So we're most of the way there already. We need y'all weird to come in and vote. And the second part of that, because of the lot distribution is the way it is, myself and y'all weird have the majority. I think he has like 20% of the vote. So him voting should push it over. And then it diminishes from there. What I want to do is I want to distribute this more widely, right? And the easiest way for me to do that, because
give it to those 30 people. No, it's
give it to 30 people. Yeah, exactly. Because it's a business layer, it's not an LCP. It didn't like go through a community contest. I just bought it. That means we're not locked to a maximum supply of the lot of those governance tokens. So I can just mint some more. There, we got more. So what I want to do probably is double what we have, and that additional minted tokens can be part of a contest. Who wants to come in and make music great again, or whatever you want to do, right? Who wants to
can we please, marketers, make music great again?
Yeah, sure. I don't care.
Can we please not market it as make music great again?
We can, and John can make the banner.
I'm fine with it.
What's that?
I want John to make the banner.
I just want to say tuning a guitar is music.
According to what is the Icelandic musician Björk? According to Björk, throwing a bunch of forks into the oven and hearing them bang around is music also. So a lot of things can be music depending on the person. That's content that I would like to see in the music layer. For example, like an interview with an interesting musician. It doesn't have to be just videos of some popular top 10 songs on YouTube. You know, that kind of. So any ideas that we have, I want to run this during the month of October, which gives us a couple of weeks-ish, a week or so, to come up with an idea of how to market the music layer. I don't know if you can read that, but boop, boop. If you're squinting there, John.
Why don't you let people just buy a lot?
We could also do that. We could raise money for the layer, and then the layer could use that for marketing or for stuff. That's a good idea.
Just let people. Just let people buy a lot, right? You're gonna print more lot essentially. Let people buy it, and then that way the people that have been making money off the layer can purchase lot, and then the people that have very little energy won't be able to buy any, such as the 30 people that only vote one time on things down.
That's a pretty good idea. Yeah.
That haven't been getting involved, but are movers and shakers and other layers will get involved because they've gotten a bunch of energy from other layers.
Yeah, and they can use their matter.
Yeah,
to get a stake there. That's a good idea.
Nice.
Good idea. The reason why I never really cared too much about the music layer was because one, I own nothing. And then 2, it was kind of like you said, like there was no way for me to really influence what was going on there. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't vote either. Like, I think we could even fucking vote saying like, just as a resolution that we want to just downvote anybody that posts a YouTube video. Like, you could do shit like that, but it's not. We can make this fight what we want, but like, I can't change the mission statement of the layer because I don't own anything. So, yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Sorry.
That's what, yeah, that's what that medium of exchange, that money, that matter, that reward token is for. It contains sweat equity, basically, like work that you put in, and you should be able to use that to claim a stake in this layer if you want it. That's a good. And then theoretically, if somebody claims, uses that to claim an ownership stake in a layer, that would incentivize them to be active and to do more stuff. And that's a good idea. I like it.
Let me ask you a question. What is a way that we can use the music layer to attract new people to Den? And I guess you can't use it as a replacement to Spotify or anything like that. But
I got it. I know what you can do. Just have the blurred lines music video just running at the top of it.
Just 24/7.
Yeah, the blurred lines music video.
Just
I had this idea
so he can like move,
which is basically just porn.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, okay.
I love how like a few of you were like,
I'm not getting this.
I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Is what I'm over here thinking. Like,
I wasn't getting it.
Here's an idea that I had. Check this out. So we're going to at some point have native video that doesn't rely on YouTube, right? One of the ideas that I had came from that, thinking about that, and I was thinking about like layer TV, right, where each layer has one channel. That's it, and anybody can put stuff on that channel, but you put like a matter. I don't know if you call it not a bounty, but like you stake matter with it whenever you submit it, and then you end up getting a queue of what plays, and it's first come first serve, unless kind of like a jukebox system or something, right? Where you could pay more matter to bump yours up to the next one that plays, or you could pay to get a particular time slot where this show airs on layer TV for this layer on this day at this time or something like that. But make it basically a competitive marketplace. In each layer, you just get one channel, and then it's just playing at the top, like the Blurred Lines music video, all the time at the top of the layer page. Mm-hmm. Just an idea, just throwing it out there, half baked, but I think it would be
interesting. Yeah, once we get that ability on the layer thing. The other thought was, can you imagine if someone went out there, I'm just picking a name, and said, I'm going to find out all the interviews that Eric Clapton did, and I'm going to link them into the music layer. And then it's put out there that, wow, you know what? If you want to see all of the interviews that Eric Clapton did or, was interviewed, you'd find them at this place. It Den.social /L/music layer or whatever. You know what I mean? That'd be kind of cool.
That would almost be like what archive.org does with like archiving massive, big, just collections of things and having it accessible.
It's almost like what Reddit does, where they post something in Reddit and they go, hey, here's a list of all these things I found, and here it is.
Yeah, but Reddit's got a footprint.
Yeah.
But you can go to like, whenever I'm looking for like advice on shit, I will like go to Google, type in my question, and then type in Reddit at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
I read a really clever.
I was hoping that was just a guy that walked in, by the way. I was hoping that was just a stranger that walked in. It looked like my dad a little bit. I was like, oh, I wonder if my dad just walked into his work.
That would be ironic.
And strolled through be like, my son's not funny, and then left.
That's great. I forgot what I was going to say. That's funny.
What was my like original pitch? Like, a fucking year ago, right? I wanted a Den TV where World Blockchain, Coffee with Den, like everything was on there, and people could put their own show there, and it would just play. Right?
Is that where did I steal my idea from yours and just not remember? I could have. It could be like have been in the back of my mind and like, oh, here's an idea. I'm going to claim it as mine.
No. This was my idea like 8 years ago before there was a blockchain, and it was.
I don't think it's an original idea. I'll put it that way. But I was like, hey, we need like a way that you could just like certain people have access to this Twitch account, if we want to call it that, and then embed the fucking Twitch in here. But after a while, you'll have your own hosting, and people get shows, and this is where the show is. So that way, it's not like a different place for World Blockchain, a different place for Coffee, a different place for whatever the other one is.
Got you. Yeah, because
and
right
every
now
Thursday it would be just like, and then there would be the Den TV guide. Every Thursday at 10 o'clock is World Roundtable.
Yeah, because right now, like the only way to have a Den TV guide is to have a post every week that says, on Tuesday at this time, we have in the Dragon Chain layer, you can find Super Happy Dragon Lucky. And then on Wednesday, in this totally different layer called Coffee with Den, you have this coffee show. And then on Thursday, in this yet another layer, we have World Blockchain at 11. But then in the fourth layer, we have Den.social in the Den.social layer.
But
it would separate itself out eventually. Then there would be the sci-fi channel. There would be the the book channel, where it would be book reviews, and there would be the movie channel, which we already have layers, but they would be playing.
Yeah, as soon as you get a certain type of or a category of content that, let's say, like like half of what we're showing is this particular category of content. Well, we can make a different channel for that now. Now that there's that.
Think about it more like public access television. Like this is the PBS of Den, right? But what was cool with Den is that they had their hand in all of these channels or in all of these streams, right? Den has their hand in this one. They've got it in Super Happy Dragon Lucky Time, and they've got it in World Blockchain and like whatever else, right? So they're incentivizing artists to create content, right? Because they're giving them a platform in which to do it, and they're giving them like a payment essentially, right? We're saying like, hey, you can get a kickback in this. You can make some money.
Yeah, you can get a non-zero amount of rewards.
Yeah,
depending on how well it's marketed, depending on how many people you can drum up to come and watch your show and vote on it. Maybe you do the thing like YouTube does where it says, like, wouldn't that be something instead of saying, make sure you hit the little icon like and subscribe and hit the bell. You could be like, evaluate and move the slider all the way to the right, or something like that.
Very catchy. So I think but also like, I think there's this other thing that a lot of people forget when it comes to marketing, where you're not paying for a 1-to-1 ratio when it comes to marketing, right? You're paying for exposure. You're paying for the basic things just to get your shit going. Hence why you have a job, right?
There's that cold start problem. You got to invest into when there's no one here yet. You got to do something that is consistent and interesting enough to start to bring people in to also participate.
Right. Which is like kind of what you do, right? You like incentivize people, you help like build this community and do all of this kind of stuff, which is like part of what you do. So like, I think incentivizing your creators that do that would be a great way to start, like also.
But you mean on top of the existing infrastructure, on top of the existing matter, and like right now, what we do is we will I think all we do right now is we boost the post within Den.
That's what I was gonna say. Remember how you have boosted Fridays or whatever that shit is? Still happens?
Yeah, exactly.
Do that for the people that have a show. Like if I'm willing to sit down for an hour and like do this, like give me like 5,000 energy, which is like
I actually do owe you a lot. I just haven't coughed it up. I got to account for. Here's what I got to do, because it's been running for long enough now that I need to account for how much matter has been awarded to the show over the past year, basically, or however long it's been, and then take that and say like, okay, John, y'all weird, or actually he's been on maybe once, but mostly you, Gravity Crab, I am. Y'all aren't getting a cut of the matter rewards of this, and it's
I'm
just
not looking. Yeah, me personally, I'm not looking for the cut though.
What I've been doing instead is I've been minting and giving out the layer ownership tokens, which is why now I don't know if that's as valuable to people or not. I don't know which one's preferred, but that's why C is before D. That makes sense. That's why you got a lot of lot, but you don't have a lot of matter coming from it, right? So I have been handing out as people play along. Speaking of, I wonder if we have anything.
So like basically like I think your idea is good. I think having that for one layer is a lot. I think you should just have a den one and be like, hey, you want to see what's happening in like the fiction layer? Like here's the 30-minute fiction show where Butthole McGee and Tattoo 420 come on and they talk about books for 30 minutes.
That'd be great if we did have more people doing. So one of my goals for this show was to have sort of an easy bar to one up, set sort of a low bar of like, okay, you can do shows on here. Like I think World Blockchain's a lot better than this one. I think anybody could come in and do something like this. So I wanted to just illustrate that. It became something that I really enjoyed doing.
The problem with that though is that you have the incentive from Den to do it, right? You have the backing. You have like Den is like supporting the Twitter, right? Den is promoting it.
They're co-marketing. They're sharing. Now we would do that for anybody who wanted to come in and start up a show, though.
But
right?
That's not anywhere. Like nobody knows that.
Yeah,
that's true. We haven't put that out. Yeah.
Hey, so if you watch this show during this 5-second increment, now know that if you send Den an email, they will get back to you in 10 to 47 business days.
That's a really great point because basically, like, if you sat here for an hour and a half, listening to us yap on for an hour and a half, now you can hear the part that we haven't put out separately, which is that, we'll support you, come in and do it. We'll boost it. We'll tweet it. We'll co-market.
Yeah.
That should be part of our marketing.
Den needs like a person that's reaching, like, imagine how cool that would be if Den had a person that was reaching out to like the top creators on this platform and creating shows for them and helping them create content in other ways, because they're already showing they have the time to do it, 2, they're smart enough to do it, and 3, they're decent people. Like, imagine like that would be really cool, right?
If they have the time to do that, I would love to help them with that. Yeah.
Wow.
Because you could possibly make a little bit of money doing this, but there's
basically it's an onboarding specialist, that kind of thing. Yeah, if you can build.
It's not an onboarding specialist.
That's what you're describing, right? Somebody who reaches it. Actually, no, it's more. I guess it's not.
It's a
onboarding would be already like people being given to you to say, here, help this person start up.
It's a fucking.
You're talking about somebody.
Yeah, it's a producer. Exactly.
That's literally what a producer is.
Yeah.
They create and produce content by coming up with good ideas or finding other people that have ideas and finding ways to produce that content. A producer's job is just to make the thing happen and have a vision for it and understand how to like. Producer sometimes gets in there with director, but it's less like hands-on in the moment. It's more like, this is the overarching idea we want to do. So it'd be like, if you came in, be like you empowering, I forget the dude that was posting the metal shit. Be like, hey man, this is cool content. I'm sorry this shit's happening to you. Let's find a way to make it even better. right? Because you are kicking ass, and we want to find a way for people like you to do better. Because then people can be like, I can be like him, and then they'll do better.
What would that look like? You scour YouTube channels and say, "Hey, you want to do this on Den?" What are you talking about? You scour Den itself. Yeah. Okay.
I would find the top people that are posting in Den. There's like a dude or I don't know if it's a dude, but there's a person like Creature Comforts. Every week posts a food blog. Right? What if you talk to them for 10 minutes about their food blog, and that's like your 10-minute show, right?
Oh, okay. So you mean produce content with them, like interview that person, or talk about whatever?
It doesn't have to be. It can be like, hey man, you're kicking ass here. I want to find a way to make this better. This is what I want to do. If you send me like if you let me know just when you post, I'll make sure it's hitting Twitter, and I'll make sure it's hitting these other areas. If you're like,
that's a good point. Because there's things that are already genuinely good content that could be highlighted more consistent.
It's basically
it could be.
It's basically me finding, or you, whoever is finding a way to make other people's shit better, right? So like, hey, Scargle Gargle, your metal shit is awesome, but you need like a graphic that's more eye-catching, because I haven't seen what his posts look like. But I'm just saying, like, these are the things that you're missing out that we could do better, right?
Okay.
That we could, like, hey, you're in Creature Comforts. I love what your posts are, but your graphics suck and you need branding. If you send me that, I'll turn around and give you a graphic in 24 hours, and you can post it and you'll make your money.
So not necessarily trying to find out if people have time to do more than they're already doing. Go to the already existing original content that people are already taking the time to do, and support that more thoroughly, and help them advertise their own content and help them produce their own content, is what you're saying. And that's much more like, oh, I could do that for sure. Like, I don't know how much time everyone has to produce stuff on top of what they're already doing, but just helping to bring content to the top and show off the type of stuff that's on Den, that's very in line with what I think I could do.
It is. Yeah. That's a great idea. See, I've been always on the other side of it, thinking we need to find the person who has a few thousand subscribers on YouTube or whatever, and have them mention Den every time, or be a part of Den and their YouTube content. You follow?
The only thing is that with that idea is, one, YouTube pays their creators, right? So why the fuck do they need to do it for us? When it's like kind of like biting the hand that feeds them if they do that, right? There's like literally,
because you're asking them to pull eyeballs away from, let's say it's YouTube, and have them interact on Den instead, which could skew the numbers, which could account for things differently. I don't know if, for example, watching something in an embedded YouTube video on Den gets counted in the same way as watching it natively on YouTube itself. I don't know the answer to that.
Well, YouTube's not going to allow that after a while. They're going to suppress your channel with its algorithms.
There are definitely a lot of people that are afraid of the YouTube hammer, that they don't want to go. They don't want to do too much that might piss off the overlords. I've talked to a couple of people also that I was like, hey, you've already got this channel going on. I would love to have your content over on Den just for like our science layer and stuff, but I don't want to put it over there myself because I'll be rewarded for your content and stuff like that. And they've said, well, I'm already putting it on Odyssey, and I don't know if I wanted like so many different places. I got to kind of narrow down where I'm publishing to. It's not as approachable as what John was talking about, which is, fuck that. Build people up from the ground up. That's what
within Den outward. Den outward versus outward into Den.
Yeah, because if you're here because you want to be here, and I don't have to twist your arm to be here, we should be pouring in support for that.
So
that's sort of the idea. What like the Boosted Fridays is sort of like that, but still, even that is relying on people to self-report and say, here's some original content. Can you boost it for me? Instead of hunting it and making our own list.
Den needs to like, I find somebody to pay that literally just does that. I think that would be the coolest thing in the world. So the other my internet like kind of went pretty there for a second.
You had a freeze frame for a second. It was great.
Yeah. So like having the embedded thing or whatever, I don't think it's the issue. Where you're having people, like if I had an embedded video, like even if they still got the video count or whatever for posting it here, the thing is on YouTube they want their comment section exploding because that's what drives people to come back and work and like keep coming back to their channel. So why would they then be like, yeah, but go use the comment section over in Den, but give me the views over? Like it does not make sense whatsoever for them.
Right. No, that's why Odyssey and Library, Odyssey Library, whichever you want to call it, is kind of failed because it doesn't have that community involvement because the content or the comments are listed way below all the other videos. So you don't interact with the person. Now, I don't understand Rumble. Rumble has skyrocketed very rapidly in its users, subscribers, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. But isn't Rumble? That's a good example because I was thinking about that too. It is one of the things that's hard to do is to grow a subscribership that isn't all a similar
right-leaning
type
or
mindset.
left-leaning.
Yeah, right or left-leaning or whatever, right? And so there's been a lot of platforms that are like, this category of person has been censored wholesale from media to the point where Twitter and Facebook and whatever are literally collaborating with emails saying, okay, ban this person, okay, ban that person. I think this is the same person. If they're a certain category of person. And then what I'm trying to say is like that has driven the growth of an alternative platform.
Let me let you in on a secret.
It sort of gets seeded with one opinion or one-sided or one type of person, right?
Echo chambers. Well, let me let you in a little secret what I believe in this matrix, how it's panning out. The division in society is real and it's accelerating, and parallel economies is accelerating. People are saying, I want to spend my money with like-minded individuals, either on the right or on the left. And so parallel systems, such as if you want to call Rumble versus YouTube, are going to happen and they're going to expand. And people are going to suck out of YouTube, go to Rumble and stay away from Rumble and vice versa. You follow me? And so I think the parallel economy that's being built with people, just like people vote with their feet from state to state, that is happening, and it's happening on a much faster scale than we ever thought. I don't think we're going to actually be able to come back and unify as a group, as a country, or whatever. I think it's going to continually to split and divide, and therefore social media is going to end up doing the same. Maybe there'll be something that's in the moderate range, like in the middle of the spectrum, and let's call Den in the middle of the spectrum, and we'll just define YouTube to the left and Rumble to the right, and maybe there'll be a nice niche for someone such as Den to be in the center. That's kind of how I'm foreseeing it.
Yeah, and that's sort of my hope, more than Den being in the sense like neutral. Well, no, more than Den being in the center of right or left, I see Den as being accommodating to the right and to the left, within reason, within the boundaries of the legal system. Obviously, we're not trying to promote people coming over here and planning, like violent attacks on a certain demographic, which has happened on other platforms, right? We're not saying that should be welcomed,
but human nature, we're tribal. And so we're going to want to go with our tribe.
Treating the layers as tribes is basically what Den is about. Like giving each layer its own governance, giving each layer its own. It's just licensed to do whatever the fuck you want to do, as long as it's not like objectively illegal or like.
Right.
Almost
John,
illegal.
what's your thoughts? I see your head spinning and thinking. Do you think
So-
as a society we're going to come together and kind of unify on one social media platform?
Well, I think that I think whatever's the prettiest is what's going to win. I think there's a reason why truth.com didn't take off or whatever it's called. And I think, I don't think like Den necessarily at all is a place for all sides. Like if you look like you describe like the World Blockchain Roundtable, right? Of like the people that are on it, like the most left person is you, Dave, and you're not
Right.
left. Like,
Yeah.
I am
Not
more
anymore.
left.
Not anymore.
like, you know what I mean? Like it's not a place for that's all voices, because it's literally not all represented. The members on that, are any of them like not white dudes?
Well, Lisa's not a white dude.
Is she on World Blockchain Roundtable?
Yes.
Okay.
And we used to have more rotating guests than recently, but yeah, we've had a
Who's the
variety.
AI expert? Oh, I loved him. But
The
he didn't speak very
the
good.
regulars are like, yeah, they're all white people. It's like 3 dudes and 1 girl, I guess.
Yeah. It's really, and like as somebody who's ran a theater and tried to do stuff like this, it's hard to kind of like try to diversify and stuff, but like representation is a huge part of this. So like if you're like, yeah, we're a place for everybody, but the only shows you support are right leaning shows by one kind of person, it makes it more difficult
Well,
to be a place for everybody.
Those are the only shows. Those are the only shows that show up. Like we'll support. You can come on and talk about like I would love to talk about UBI. I am pro UBI. You know what I
I
mean?
don't know what UBI is. It sounds like
universal basic income. The idea that the government should just give people money, that kind of thing, right?
So that's,
we can have shows that are. What I'm trying to say is that those are the shows that show up. Those are the people that show up, and we get who we get.
so
You know what I mean?
I had this same problem where I ran an improv theater in Gainesville, and I ran it out of my house. So I had to trust strangers to come to my house to teach them to be funny, which is a weird thing to do because you don't know who's going to show up, right? So all of my, basically all of my advertising was word of mouth. So it was friends of friends of friends of friends, which you end up getting a lot of people that look like you. Or like, you know what I mean? You don't really get a very diverse group.
Yeah, you reach out to your bubble.
So
basically, yeah.
In order to like actually, if I wanted to actually like try to be more diverse and try to get other voices and try to actually have real representation, I had to go do work. I had to be the person, and I can't put that on. They didn't show up. It's
no, that's absolutely right.
If representation is important to me, I have to go find them. And that's like,
that's a little bit about like that's what I was talking about with it isn't in the music layer, but I forget what layer it was in. I was talking to somebody had brought up, might have been cryptocurrency layer. Somebody had brought up that the value of the Matter token just keeps going down, right? It's trending down over time. And part of that is, one of the things that in hindsight was a mistake, I think, was that the work I was doing was reaching out to people talking about how you can earn cryptocurrency on Den, right? That was probably the wrong messaging. I was getting people that only wanted to come in to earn money, to take it out, to go cash it out, to go sell it, right? I wasn't getting the people that wanted a way to organize their homeowners association, or people that wanted to organize their comedy club, or somebody who wanted to organize their model airplane club or something like that to get a layer. That would have been more useful for me to try to advertise to, because then you would get people who, you earn these Matter points and stuff, but I'm not here primarily for the reason to extract that value from the community and go cash it out. I'm here because it allows me to not be inundated with advertising and targeted ads and things like that, and tracked and all of that. And also for the ability to organize in an asynchronous way maybe a global preppers forum. Maybe we could use different tools and things like that. And if I were to maybe get a different type of person that wanted to use the platform as a platform for community instead of a way to manipulate votes and extract money from it, that would have been probably more lasting and more economically nice to everybody. So
here's the fun thing
part
too.
of that. The variety of the type of person is important.
Yeah. Absolutely. And those varieties came into light, and you were able to like, oh, these are all these other things we can do, and these are how I can pitch and sell these things to other people. Probably came to light when you started going to the farmers market. And you're like, look at all these different people I'm talking to now, and all their different needs and all the things they're doing.
A lot of it came from that. A lot of it came from that, actually, because part of it came like even to the point where, you know, there's still an ongoing startup for using Den, for example, as a way to fractionalize the control of a building in Gainesville. You know what I mean? Absolutely. That came out of, you know, meeting Chris over at the farmers market, that kind of thing, you know.
And that's what I'm talking about, is that you as Den, we'll call you Den for this experiment, you as Den left and went somewhere different to go find and talk to people. And then because of that, you created more diversity, you created new ideas, and now you're doing something really cool.
See, and here I
constantly
that's a really good point about the market. Yeah.
So
like, right. Yeah.
I was going to say, this is where you and I, Dave, we would disagree. I would say that the numbers that increase the subscribers in Den will solve a lot of the issues that we talk about frequently, you know, with gaining the system, et cetera, whatever. But understanding we're beta. But I always say that you got to show the carrot to get the people to come. And people are incentivized by either fame, fortune, or money, you know. That's kind of what a lot of times people are incentivized by, or at least your initial foundation. Later, the other will come, the individual that wants to watch the cooking show, or the individual that wants to read about, you know, how do I build a shed, or the, you know, these things, those things will come later. And the foundation is making Den not to extract value from, because the value you're only looking at from one half of the equation. The other equation is I want matter, and people wanting to buy it on the open market. So, and because they see the value in it. So it kind of goes both ways. If Bitcoin was just going to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash with no incentive for it to increase in value, then Bitcoin wouldn't exist today.
Well, the specific way that I was pitching it to a lot of people, and this is, you know, it exhausted people. Didn't want to hear about it anymore, which is great, because it made me, like John was saying, think of like, well, what else can we do? What else do we offer? It isn't about that. But specifically, the way that I was talking was more leaned towards like, I've been like at least reading about Bitcoin since probably 2009 ish, right? And so whenever I was at the market at the beginning of when the reason that I decided to go out and find people that were interested in this stuff is because it appeared to me that like, oh, this Bitcoin stuff, this cryptocurrency thing is getting popular. Let me go reach out and see who's out there who's interested in it. And everybody, like, I'm seeing it like, oh, finally it's catching on. And the conversation very much was, this was like around DeFi when NFTs just took off, that kind of thing. The conversation was all about how much money can I make in dollars from this. It wasn't about, oh, I can increase the value of my account so that I have more ability to more influence in the community, or I have more clout, or I have more ability to vote on decision making that makes it more fair without, you know, advertising. It wasn't about like really anything more than just how much US dollars can I make off of this, which is one aspect of it. Definitely is one aspect of it.
We just don't have the on and off ramps between fiat and crypto. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about the on and off ramp.
You know how to do that. Yeah. But that's where a lot of that conversation was, and that's I spent a lot of time talking to those people because I thought that was like, okay, you like NFTs, we got those. You like staking, we do that, that kind of thing. But then more recently, a lot of that sort of imploded, and cryptocurrency as an investment avenue or a profit making thing got a tarnished reputation. People got a bad taste in their mouth. Oh, Celsius is a scam and Luna is a scam and all crypto must be a scam, that kind of thing. And so in attaching myself to that wave of popularity, saying, oh yeah, we do this, we do other stuff too. But all this shit you're saying that you're super into, we do all of that. So come to Den. Sort of attached myself to that, and Den in a way to that, to where once that died off, people were just like, well, fuck it, I'm out. That kind of thing.
Well, crypto lost its way too, because it encouraged people to give up their private keys. And that's where they lost their money, like in Celsius example and that kind of thing. And these other scam coins.
So you talked about Rumble. Rumble doesn't pay anyone to produce content. Reddit doesn't pay anyone to work for them. Facebook doesn't pay anyone to spend hours like commenting and voting and thumbs upping and things like that. I'm talking about the average user.
It's using an algorithm for that instead.
People use these platforms without getting rewarded.
But Rumble exploded in growth because it became known out there as the alternative to censorship.
Yep. Yeah.
And Den that's is another alternative to censorship, but it wasn't known.
Right. And so that's where I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is that there are so many more incentives than just money, right? Facebook has shown that dopamine is a pretty good incentive. If you can make people feel good for a second and get a dopamine hit because somebody liked their thing, okay.
Oh, yeah, your phone dinging on your counter is a drug through and through.
Absolutely.
If you can get people who have been marginalized unfairly by the system, the incentive to have a place where they can freely discuss their ideals, that's an incentive, right? These are the kinds of things that I think that we should focus more than just on the money. And this, I guess this all started from talking about, like the trend of the Matter token going down kind of thing, being the end all be all to some people, like, oh, number go down, so everything suck, when really, like, everything still works. Even if you couldn't cash out Matter today, if for whatever reason, like Den just chopped off the Ethereum portion and said you can't export Matter, the system would still work. The system would still be able to self-regulate and self-censor and self-govern and things like that, right? I'm not saying we should do that. I'm just saying that there's more to it than the ability to extract and cash out.
Right.
So Den, I think, has to just remember that, like, I think when you're pitching, it's like it's a social media platform, right? That you happen to get paid out on. Because you see that 1-to-1 ratio, because you do get paid out on Facebook, and Facebook does pay people. It just pays people in different ways, right? YouTube 100% pays their creators, right? Like,
yeah, YouTube does. It's like 45% or something, but
all those different avenues that you were talking about, people are making money and doing stuff off of it. They're also getting, like you said, like the dopamine hits. They're getting fame and fortune. And then we talked about something else that I wanted to make sure, like, we kind of talked about for a second, is like I Am mentioned, like, a baking show. It's like, oh, nobody, I don't know if you said nobody cares or something, but like,
no,
when I watch the Great British Baking Show, I'm going, oh, I can do that.
Right.
It's like, it is a form of fame. I could be up there. I could see myself. I just haven't done it yet, kind of deal. So, like, seeing other people interacting, doing things like that, it provides that dopamine hit, but it also provides that Maslow's hierarchy of needs bullshit, the seventh rung or whatever, of like, this is this ethereal thing that I could do that could bring me joy because I have all these other needs, whatever it is, right? So, like, having content and producing that content is extremely important. And then because you don't have a way to naturally incentivize people enough right now, because you don't have enough users, Den has to make up for that. If you had
Right.
100,000 users constantly interacting and upvoting people's shit, everybody would be making a fuck ton of money, right?
That was this cold start problem I was mentioning earlier, which is that like, you got to start the engine from nothing and with nobody, which, we have some people now, but it's extremely small. The community, especially compared to even like Rumble's taken off and like there's a lot of people on Odyssey and there's a lot of people on Truth Social, honestly. Like it's not it's kind of
certainly an echo chamber. It had,
but there's a subscribership there. There's people that are there a lot. So that's the issue, is the cold start, is the and you're right, Den.DAO has to talk about this, and we should probably talk about it Thursday, because if at scale these problems that we're seeing right now mostly go away entirely, then the number one thing we should probably be driving towards is getting to scale, getting up at scale.
Right. Rather than spend a lot of time tweaking this for small numbers, knowing that when scales, it goes, those issues go away. Yeah. I don't know. Unless a layer is small as it's getting it started, it's cold. A new layer is getting a cold start, and it's got to deal with these issues.
Speaking of tweaking, do you think we should enable reputation by default on new layers?
No, because I think it's too complicated for some to figure out. And that's my shooting from the hip idea.
I think every new layer should have like a person, like, how Den has a percentage of every layer?
Has a what?
Den,
right.
Den has the Den account has a percentage of every layer. That needs to do something.
That individual, an individual scientist.
That should be a person from Den that goes to your layer and goes, "Hey, you've created a new layer. Welcome to Den. Here's all the different tools you have options for. Is reputation a good idea for you?" And like a person that actually uses that fucking account and doesn't just soak up points, right? That uses that account and helps to create the layer and start it.
Because right now that account mainly gets used in the Den and the Den.DAO layer to just report things like, hey, procedural things. LCP is open. Proposals are open. Boosted Friday, that kind of thing. You're right. It could. That's a really good idea. We could have even a boilerplate or whatever you call it, like a canned new layer post that can go into every new layer to say, here's a new layer. What does that mean? What are some of the tools available to you? How do you use those tools?
What if
that kind of thing?
What if at the start of every layer, the Den account proposed 4 different settings, right? That include reputation, video, and stuff like that. And in the description, it described each kind of setting, and then you vote, and then the people vote on it. So it's like a place to start, right? Because basically everybody you vote on the LCP, and then you go, great, I'll wait for my money to come in, right? And nobody works in the layer, right? If you had something that was engaging you right away, that was like, hey, oh shit, this layer's open. Cool, there's already something to vote on. Hell yeah. What is it? Oh, how we're gonna manage this layer, so I instantly get a way to manage this layer, and it's not coming from 420 big tits. It's coming from Den. Cool, these might be a good place to start, and then we can adjust from there.
Yeah, because the way to increase the value of your ownership is to increase the number of people that are consistently using that layer, and that means your cut of that layer goes up. And so you're also talking about basically seizing on the initial, you can call it hype, I guess, or the initial liveliness of a new layer, saying, hey, this is new and fresh, and before you bore people, maybe engage them instead. This is kind of what you're saying.
And and if that's not naturally happening on your social media site right now, it's not.
No, it's not.
So therefore, Den has to do it. It's just like saying, hey, it looks like it's little fucking clippy when you're trying to type something up. hey, it looks
It's
like
funny.
you're
I've
trying to use our
used that
shit.
example before myself. Yeah.
It looks like you're trying to use our shit and you're bad at using our shit. Let's help you use our shit. Like, oh, you're not a good writer? Let me help you do the writing. Like, whatever it is, right? And just because at a certain point you can probably get to an AI, but I think you need a person that's like literally using that account, because right now it's just a thing that takes your money.
Well, I will.
I'm going to jump
take
in
that
real
to
quick
heart.
here. I'm going to jump in real quick here and tell
Sure.
y'all to have a wonderful morning as the store is picking up, and I got to go back to that whole work thing.
Yeah, get out of here.
And I gotta go do that
Bye.
job. Goodbye,
dude.
everyone. Enjoy your morning.
Thanks again. Cheers. Those are good points, John. I'm going to take those to heart. I'm going to do something about it. Because I think that definitely there's people that I appreciate, like Spanzel, like I forget the person's food blog, and other people as well, that I don't know how I could help them, but I would have to ask them to know that, I guess, right?
I guess. Because honestly, a way you could help them is just, you're going to create a show now. You now create a show where you're going to take like their food blog and you're going to use it every week. And you're going to hype them up. It's like, you know what? This show is called
Dave cooks whatever recipes in the top of the food blog this week.
This show is called Everybody Else's Shit is Awesome. And I'm going to tell you about it. And like, hey, this guy's over here doing some work. Check him out. Like, this guy's over here doing some work. Check it out. And like, hopefully that'll get plugged in in Den's other pockets, right? Because all your shows should serve each other, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So hopefully those all get plugged everywhere else. You have a social media person posting social media shit. And other areas being like, hey, check this shit out. Like, you have a graphic designer and a videographer creating all this content that's going to be pushed out because like you want to hype people up, right? Is like is what we're trying to do. So I don't know. I think there's always a way to do something, even if their involvement level is 0, there's still a way to help them. You know, you just gotta be creative, and you gotta you just gotta do it.
And also put out that, hey, we're here to help, and what do you need, instead of just saying it on 2 hours into some random coffee show that you're not going to listen to.
And it also needs to, and like I said before, it also needs to be you going to them and being like, I think you're great, I think you're awesome, and I want your voice to be heard. Because you are underrepresented, or you're not, or
you got talent.
your layer's underrepresented, right? Like, there's fucking layers where it's just 2 people talking back and forth every day. Every day. Let's get more people in the conversation that's happening every day.
Yeah, there's obviously people consistently having a conversation there. History is one of those layers where, like, I don't go there enough, but every time I do, I'm like, oh fucking yeah, the history layer, this is great stuff. So,
I shit on the layer all the time, but the Christianity layer, man, it's 2 guys talking back and forth, posting psalms to each other,
and there's someone there every day though.
But I think that's the
thing. Inspirational posts, I see the the advice posts and stuff like that. And that's great. Those are great.
They're putting out content. Why aren't we doing anything about it?
Because we keep talking about other stuff. We need a different category of thing for that. We can't just shoehorn it into the coffee show.
And I think also, if you wanted to, like, reaching out to people outside of Den isn't a bad idea, but I think when you reach out to those people, it needs to be a voice that we don't already have. You know what I mean?
Like specific, like, okay, we need more of this. This type of person is underrepresented. So
I think Litecoin Lisa was, like, honestly, like, not a awful, like, I love hearing what somebody who's a mother who's dealing with all these other things and still has a passion for God and cryptocurrency and politics and everything else. I think that's it may not be a voice that I agree with.
Oh, We lost John.
It's powerful.
We lost John. There it is.
And you're back.
Sorry.
I agree with you. Yeah. And I tell Lisa this pretty regularly too. Like, her and I disagree on probably a lot of stuff, but I think she's one of my like favorite people that I talk to every week on the internet as well. You know, because she's genuinely a good person. She's genuinely like trying to be like a good person. She's not maliciously going out there trying to fuck shit up. She's trying to maybe bring attention to things that she thinks is fucked up, which is great. But yeah, more people from, especially people I disagree with, you know, that are like that, to bring variety in. It's great. I don't want an echo chamber.
Yeah, and I think it needs to be people that just have different backgrounds and stuff too. It's just going to be important because it's going to expand your conversation and not make it so that every conversation is just about cryptocurrency, right? Because like,
some conversations are specifically about like the World Blockchain Roundtable is about blockchain. You know,
no, but it's about blockchain, but how it interacts but how it affects people in different ways. We're not going up. World Blockchain Roundtable is not number go up, right?
No. It's definitely like 2 shows ago was how does blockchain fix shit for the everyday person? That was like the whole show was how do you apply this to things? Like what makes it make stuff better? Like what kind of stuff can it fix? Because we keep saying like, oh, blockchain can fix this, it can fix that. Well, it was a whole show about like what are regular things that people are familiar with, parking meters, you know, like keeping the streets clean without having to have, you know, some inefficient tax burden that's on the population. Doing things like, you know, stuff that brings efficiency to systems that already exist. You know, reducing taxes.
I don't know if parking meters is the hard hitting expose that you're looking for.
Well, as an example, you know, traffic patterns and parking patterns in general can be affected by that. You know, we won't get into that. There's a show you can go watch where it's talked about. But
I was making a joke.
Yeah.
So sorry. I was making a joke. Yeah, I was making a joke.
And I'm like, no, you're right though, because
I was with you, Dave. I was already putting in the formulas and mathematical of traffic patterns.
I see the value. I don't think it's the big sexy topic you might have been looking for. I think like having other voices is going to help you find these other topics that could be more attractive and more exciting. It's a lot of fucking work. You know how hard it is to book people. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard. So good luck.
I'll make my rounds. I got a couple of people in mind already that I'll hit up and see if they want to, you know, if they want to either, because it could just be, you know, I've thought about just like, well, I've thought about a lot of stuff. We'll see where it goes.
Well, who knows? Because I've been approached now 3 different times to dox myself and come out and start a channel. So I don't know.
Well, if you want to, we'll help you do it right here. You don't have to dox yourself either. You know, we could set something up to where it's a pseudonym if you want to, stuff like that. So whatever you think.
You know what you should do?
What's that?
Get one of those face filters on
like Apple does.
That they use for like Instagram and shit. I don't know if Apple does it.
Oh, like a Snapchat.
Basically, your face is now like a giant teddy bear. So we can see you move and interact and like you're not like in everything, because that's like that connection, right? Is actually seeing somebody move. I hate watching like people that do like a show that's live like this and they just stand there like this and talk the entire time. They have no body language at all and they just talk and this is it.
And this is so not me to do this. I mean, well, one, to be talking like this, but and online, it's just, and it's not me to show my face, only because I travel and I don't want to have problems in Mexico.
But, there you go. And that's
why the name of the show. No problems in Mexico.
You use one of those fake filters. If we had Zoom, I could use Zoom and do the filters, but actually.
No, I think I'm going to probably. I don't know. I've been approached now to do something. I probably will do it.
Well, look, guys.
One last thing before we probably wrap up. I just got to say that. How can I put this gently? I ain't gonna have no commie bastard sharing my blockchain with me and my brother, even if it's just the two of us.
I know I keep saying I want to talk about that.
Marketeers. I'm not gonna share a commie bastard with my blockchain.
No commies in your blockchain.
No, you know, well, absolutely correct.
Days, I want to talk to
a blockchain is the honey badger. It cares not what your political stance is.
Hey, you know, maybe you and I can do a one-off, just like throw it in the coffee layer, 20-minute conversation, something like that. Because like I've been talking to a couple of friends. There's this emerging push for communism in the U.S. right now. Mm-hmm. A lot of it's coming from the West and Midwest, but kind of all over. And it's interesting because it's this idea. It's the same idea, but it's like, oh, well, if we do it right this time, it can be awesome. And so, like, I don't know, instead of being like I don't want to dismiss anything out of hand without talking to the person who thinks it's a good idea to find out why they think it's a good idea. And the more that I do that, the more I'm like, well, look, if you're gonna do it, maybe we can use this blockchain stuff as a way to make it more equitable to where you don't have to go on a violent killing spree to wipe out people who disagree with you before you enact your communism kind of thing, you know? And we can talk about that outside. We gotta get off of this show. But basically my thoughts in a nutshell on that are like, a lot of people see blockchain and Bitcoin and Web3 as this, like, all the things about capitalism that they hate, like to an extreme. Mm-hmm. But like a lot of it is communism. A lot of it is Marxism in a way, because you're talking about sweat equity and giving workers ownership of the thing they're working on. And you're talking about giving power to the blue collar. And there's a lot of themes that do run parallel to communism where you can see, like, you know, actually, now, I haven't read the Communist Manifesto yet. It's on my list. I got to figure out what that's all about. But it's like the people that are saying, you know, I hate blockchain and Bitcoin because it's capitalist and I'm trying to do a communist thing. I don't think they're actually understanding what they're saying because blockchain and Web3 can be Marxist if you want it to be. You know?
Well, yeah, I'll be happy to do a thing. We could schedule something and do. So I'd be more than happy to do that, you know, next week or so.
I think that might actually,
because I would come from a very different perspective. I come from an agorist perspective, which is agorism, which really embraces the left and it embraces the right in a sense. It's just
somebody said that to me in chat. Like I was saying something and they were like, oh, distance becoming an agorist, basically. And I'm like, I don't know what agorism is. Sounds like a horror film, a gore flick, you know? So yeah, there's a lot of that. You know, I've been trying to figure that out. I've been reading my local woke magazine. I've been reading my Supreme Court justice stuff. I've been trying to like figure shit out because it's really interesting to me. So we should have a maybe we'll throw it up in the politics layer is what we'll do. We won't put it in coffee.
That's a great idea.
All right, no, this is what you should do. All right, so like there's going to be a time when it's just like probably the three of us or even the two of you doing the coffee with Den. Just do it during this show. Be like, hey, we're going to have a special segment starting at this time that's going to go 30 minutes. I will happily be the moderator, and I'll make sure that each side is getting ample time and things like that. And we'll just like, I'll pose a question and be like, great, that's great. We'll go to the other side. Okay, and how does this work? And just do it like that. Like, fuck.
So you're saying I got to be a little bit more strict on the timeline on Coffee with Den, because it really does turn into like, hey, we're hanging out in my living room just talking about whatever bullshit comes to mind.
I'm saying that you need somebody that goes, hey, Dave, shut up and let I am for I am talk.
Oh, I can dominate the mic. Give me just the button.
So yeah, we'll do it. I'll get like a little timer and we'll be like, you have two. We'll make it like a debate. We got 30. Like you got 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute rebuttal, 1 minute rebuttal kind of thing. It'd be really fun. I'll make a little. If you want to do it, I'll make a video.
I will yield 30 seconds to my debater, providing he thinks my joke is funny.
Hey, if you get a joke, you get an extra. If you get me to laugh, you get an extra 10 seconds added to your clock.
Making it into a game like that and also meaningful would be the difecta, I guess.
Let me know. I'll put together a video. I'll put together like an intro thing. I'll put on a suit. We'll get
if you want to do that, like I will pay.
Yeah,
I'll
be more than happy to do that.
Help. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll put it on my tab. All right.
Yeah, we'll put it on your tab. Yeah.
Cool.
You text me later.
We should do a separate. Honestly, I think we should do it as a separate din with coffee. But
I want to put more. We got a whole layer now, so we can have a segment that's pre-recorded and put it in there like that as well if we want. We can do it however we want.
We do it live and whichever. But I think it should be a separate segment. I don't know. What do you think, John?
I think
everyone tunes in at Wednesday morning knowing it's going to be this. It's just got to be advertised ahead of time.
Well, I think this show would be interesting if there were more bits, like more like sections in it, where like you don't ever watch a show where it's just two people that talk bullshit for 2 hours. There is, and it's the show. But like having like defined segments and like transitions would probably be cool.
That would keep it more interesting. Yeah, I agree. No, I agree with that.
We can say like the first week of every month is the distant I am debate, right?
We might agree more than we think.
It's funny. The distant debate where you just debate another person
there you go.
On a topic. And like it's like 30 minutes and it's the first week of every month. And then the second week, there's a 30-minute block where we bring in a different guest. And then the third week of every month, we do a different 30-minute block. So there's like kind of that built into every show because you do want a somewhat of production value.
Have themes and have segments and have things that are something to mix it up and to make it more interesting than just this.
Yeah. Also, if we have been live for 2 hours and 22 minutes.
I was going to say, yeah, it's been a minute.
We can stay on and talk about this after if you want, but I'm pretty sure you may want to end the stream at some point.
Yeah. Let's do that.
You cover everything on your agenda, Dave?
I think so. All I wanted to talk about was the usually everything's up in the title, right? September LCP and the Den systems, which we did talk about. So that was what I wanted to talk about, and we did.
The music reputation.
Yeah. Yep. We did. We did.
It's a wrap.
So if you want to talk more about Den specific stuff in a setting that is not just carrying on for 2 hours, Thursday, the Den.DAO governance call is that. It's a design, it's an engineering, it's a conceptual, it's a marketing, like whatever ideas that we can talk about in a business meeting setting, we can do it more efficiently and pointedly over there instead of rambling time. Let's see. Yeah, I've got nothing else to put out right now, except that it sounds like we're going to hang on after this call a little bit and talk about what we could do to up our game a little bit. So if you have ideas for that, throw it in the comment section. All right. So, all right.
I'd like to plug one more thing before we go.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I'd like to plug the World Blockchain Roundtable. Go vote for
wrong answers only.
Go vote for wrong answers only and demand that T Swift or Die, little Johnny Moneybags over here gets on the show because that's the only one I'll be able to contribute on.
All right. Well, we need that crowd participation. Go put out your demands. If you're here 2.5 hours after we started talking and you're still here to hear it, you're the one we want to go demand it.
There you go.
But create 30 different accounts and go demand.
I'll fucking do that shit. All right. I am anything that doesn't include gaming the consensus mechanisms that you want to put out?
Yeah, I'm going to submit my own thing to vote for World Blockchain Roundtable as a write-in candidate. No, you can't do that. I don't know which one I'm going to vote for, to be honest with you. I'm so it's hard to narrow it down to one item.
Well, there's like 13 choices in there, I think.
I know. I wish it was only 12 because I'd like to vote for all 13. Maybe on the bottom of the list. And hey, come on, I'm a finance guy, but blockchain for accountants, maybe that's a little low for me on the list. But
I think it was in there.
It is. I don't think I'd vote for that one. But yeah, wrong answers would be fun. Wrong answers would be fun.
Well, we'll get 4 of them. So if there's one that's obviously going to win, maybe vote for your second favorite, since that one's already going to win, kind of thing. So the top 4 do get chosen if you want to do it that way, kind of like ranked choice voting. Oh, that one's going to win already, so I'll just make sure this other one gets in. However you want to do it. All right, let's get out of here. I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
See ya.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. Adaptable approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.